As one of his first acts, Virginia Governor Youngkin promulgated an executive order prohibiting schools from mandating masks as a public health measure. Shortly thereafter, the state legislature enacted the executive order into law. On behalf of a courageous group of parents and students, and with extraordinary co-counsel, we sued to protect the educational rights of students with disabilities. No family should be forced to choose between the child's health and their education.
My name is Tasha Nelson. I'm 41 and live in Manassas, Virginia. I have 4 children, Jack, who's 10, Finn and Octavia, who are 6-year-old twins, and Ian, who goes by Shark, is 2. My son, Jack, is a vibrant, funny, lover of science, and he also happens to live with a disease called cystic fibrosis, and it makes him extremely susceptible to lung infection, and it puts him at great risk from COVID-19. It was in March of 2020 when we went into isolation, really is what we did. We immediately pulled Jack from school, and my kids didn't do school the rest of that year. None of my children did, because there was nobody knew what to do. So there were no online programs yet. The fall of 2020, our schools went virtual, and Jack has learning disabilities. He's got ADHD and he's got some vision things. As a result of that, online learning was impossible for him because he requires an accommodation in the classroom of adult redirection. Then the following spring of 2021, our school went to a hybrid model, and it worked really well because the way the hybrid model worked, Jack ended up being in his classroom with only 3 other students. And then this last fall, we went back to in-person schooling. We were in our van when he issued the executive order. Jack was sitting next to me, and we heard it come across the radio, and he looked over at me and he had these huge tears in his eyes because he knew. He's a pretty clever kid, and he knew. And he said to me, "Mom, does this mean I can't go to school anymore?" And my heart broke for him. And I was choked up, so I was like holding it in, and I nodded, and he said, "Isn't there a way we can tell the governor about kids like me?" And so I started looking for a way to let the governor know about kids like my kid. I reached out to the medical mom community, which is a fierce advocacy network, and was put in touch with Eve Hill at Brown Goldstein and Levy. And she said, "Let me see if we can get a team put together." And she called me up one day and told me that we had the Washington Lawyers Committee and the Virginia Disability Law and this whole team, really, of people who wanted to help my son.
In March of 2022, the court granted a preliminary injunction prohibiting the enforcement of the new law in classrooms where masking is necessary to ensure that all students can safely attend school.
When the injunction came down, I immediately contacted my son's school and sent them a copy of it. Said, "If you need me to come in and read it to you, I can." They told me the very next day, they told me, "Tasha, we're going to do what his doctor says needs to be done." Those were the exact words from the principal. I'm completely overwhelmed and grateful to everyone who has worked on this case because it's empowered my son. It's shown him how to advocate for himself. It's shown him that when something isn't right, you don't have to just accept it. You can fight for what's right.